Right, are we ready then, guys? I'll start. Yeah, cool. Good evening, everybody. It's Deborah Carr here, Aufguss lead for the British Sauna Society. And I'm really pleased to welcome some very special guests that are supporting the UK team this year for the Aufguss Championships. We have with us this evening the lovely Robert Zídek. Robert is based in the Czech Republic and has been a Aufguss master for some time now, been world champion in single and in teams. And we're very lucky to have Robert not only as a very good friend to the UK Sauna Masters, but also a mentor. So he's worked closely with the Sauna Masters over the last few years, helped to support them grow with skills and confidence. We're also joined by James Grieve. James is a massive sauna fan and Aufguss supporter. James works in theatre. He's a theatre director with lots of experience on creating shows, stories and scripts, and has also been working with us for the last few years to help the guys support them with their creation of their theme for show Aufguss. So the idea of the webinar tonight is to help you guys that are going to compete this year in the UK Championships. So for those of you that don't know, the championships this year will be at Galgorm Resort in Northern Ireland. The lovely Celtic sauna, which is a lovely big 50-person sauna, glass fronted with loads of space for creating your amazing Aufguss. And that is going to be on the 20th to the 22nd of April. So what we're going to do tonight is talk about the show Aufguss or the performance Aufguss, which is one of the categories that we'll have a competition in this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to create a show Aufguss, because obviously a show Aufguss is quite different from an Aufguss ritual that you'd potentially be doing on a day-to-day basis. So Robert, I'm going to come to you first and I'm going to ask, welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you just to tell us a little bit about, from a sauna master perspective, what is the main differences between a performance Aufguss for a show competition and what an Aufguss in your everyday performance would be?
Oh, okay. The main difference between the regular Aufguss as you do it every day, or between the show Aufguss, or it is a part of the Aufguss VM, is in show Aufguss, it's about the story. What does it mean if you was or in a theater, of course, especially you can see that inside of the storylines something idea or the point, yeah. And then this type we want to bring to the sauna. When you have 15 minutes about that, speaking or telling or acting inside the sauna and creating kind of story, yeah. Good example is what we can say that as an example. In 2023, I get inspired from this for my show Aufguss, or the story is how was created the Nobel Prize, for example. Yeah, and it was the story about the Alfred Nobel. So I think if you know that, you can find it on the internet, of course. How was the history? But this time, this big idea you have to bring inside the sauna when you have only 15 minutes to all people to understanding what it's about. So that is the main difference, probably.
Yeah. And would you say you can take inspiration from pretty much anything to create your show Aufguss?
Yes, the theme, the story, you can take it from everywhere. Yeah, of course that it's the best way how you can create a story if you bring to the sauna your own experience. Yeah, but of course you can be inspired something from the past, for example, or the present. Of course, it can be any kind of different story. Yeah. It can be of the view of the history, it can be also the view of, for example, the sports and every different kind. Yeah, so you can be inspired from everything. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Robert. James, I'm quite interested to find out from you how the principles from theatre, from storytelling in a theatre, overlap to sort of like an Aufguss performance, a short Aufguss performance.
Yeah, I think there's loads of brilliant similarities between theatre and sauna, and that's really how I've ended up here talking to you, because I was sitting in a sauna. I've loved sauna for many years, and a few years ago I was sitting in a sauna and I just started to notice the similarities between a sauna space and a theatre space. Architecturally, they are similar in that the audience is gathered sitting together facing a stage or a sauna stove, and it's a communal experience that you experience something live with other people. And of course, then I discovered Show Aufguss, which uses so many of the same elements as theatre: costume, props, lighting, and as Robert and you rightly say, most importantly, story. It's about telling a story to an audience, communicating with an audience. And whether you're an actor on a stage or an Aufguss master in a sauna, your job as a storyteller is to connect with an audience and to impart that story with clarity, with emotion, with entertainment, and to give people an experience. And I think in our contemporary society, when we spend so much time attached to screens on our phones, on our computers, it's such a thrilling experience to see something live, to have a story told to you live. And you can do that in a theatre, and you can also, of course, do that in a sauna.
And tell me a little bit about what your suggestion would be on telling a story in such a short space of time, because obviously a theatre, that can be 2 hours, and it gives you time to build the story, create that character. But I think one of the challenges I think that sauna masters find, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Robert, is 15 minutes, which is the time that we have for a short Aufguss, is such a short amount of time to create a character and tell a story.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. And I think the way to approach that challenge is to understand and follow the rules of story structure. So a story structure, I think, remains the same, whether it's a 3-minute story or a 3-hour story. And what's very interesting about story structure is whether we know it technically or not, we understand story structure, all of us, because from the youngest age, we were read stories and told stories. And in fact, human beings have been telling stories around campfires for as long as we've existed on this planet. So deep within every human, there is an understanding of what a story should be and what a story should feel like. So just really, really quickly, a story structure is in Aufguss is in 3 parts after round 1, round 2, round 3. And of course, in many theatre shows and many plays, that's the same structure, the 3-act play. And in a really basic sense, that is beginning, middle, and end. In theatre, we call that anticipation, event, and aftermath. So if you think of your story structure as needing all 3 of those elements to be a satisfying story, it needs to have anticipation, i.e. dramatic stakes, something is going to happen. Then in the middle, that might be your end of round 1, or that might be your intro before round 1. Then something needs to happen. It's really important that the difference between live performance and literature, the difference between seeing something happen in front of you and sitting at home and reading a book, is that drama means something has to happen live. Literally, the etymology of the word, it goes back to the Greek dran, which means to act, or to, something to happen. So in the middle of your story, something has to happen, a dramatic event, or something has to change. And then the aftermath is the fallout of that event. So you might say, well, the anticipation is something is going to happen that will change the world forever. The event is the thing that changes the world forever. And the aftermath is how has the world changed, or what is different now? And I think if you follow those really basic rules and have that 3-act structure, you can tell a story in 30 seconds or in 3 hours or anything in between.
Awesome. Robert, any sort of hints or tips that you use to help build your story and create your character?
Be honest, try to surprise. Yeah, it's a really big challenge for every single sauna master, because from past we know that the level of the show of Aufguss during the Aufguss VM every year is growing up, and it's really hard to bring something new one. So of course, don't be afraid. Take some inspire if you was on Aufguss VM. Really can help you to push the level of the story. And what I really like it for, I'm going to my personally, I try to prove myself, bring something new every year. Yeah, if I bring some really easy example, if somebody played the Pop Master as a deck from the last year, the next year try to be something, for example, modern, or goes to the other country. And I think this view is very important. So from my side, and give you the type of, just do it. Yeah, because so many people, of course, it's pretty scary, made their own story and think about it, because it's really hard to creating with this kind of level. But if you find the story which is really close to you, be inspired, what you can bring to your guest, of course, from yourself, can be really you enjoyed it so much, and of course you will have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you spend so much time on working on these Aufguss for weeks and months and at a time, that I think it's important that you've got to enjoy it, haven't you? I think personally, I quite like to see Aufguss masters use history as an inspiration. I think one of the things that was mentioned to me when we first started in Aufguss VM 4 years ago was that in the UK and in Britain, we have such a rich history that it's nice to bring to the world stage something new, something different, and something that's authentic to the UK. Would you agree with that, Robert?
Of course, I can agree that, because, as you know, the last year won in a team the English and British story. So it's my apologize that we stole you by, guys. You have a chance to make it, and as you can see, yeah, My Fair Lady was really such a nice idea.
Well,
so again, apologize.
It was a great story. Now, my fair Robert. So tell me a little bit about how you use music to help you tell that story, Robert.
The music is, of course, is really important for the part of the story, because in creating the atmosphere inside. The music have to be comparing with your emotion and what the type of your story. Of course, if I do the story from 1920, I will be done to use the music for 2012. Yeah, so be really aware with that. And of course, it's really important also the music to choose how describe you. Yeah, inside. Somebody likes really nice opera, don't use it, for example, heavy metal, the music. So of course, with the music, don't make experiments, but choose it what you like it. Yeah, but put it inside the story that people help to better understand it.
Yeah, makes sense. James, from a theatre perspective, what was your first thoughts on Aufguss when it comes to fragrance? Because obviously we use a lot of essential oils, smokes, infusions, which is quite different from an immersive perspective than theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's such an exciting tool that we don't have available to us in traditional theatre. Well, there's two really: there's scent and there's heat itself. Everything else you maybe could replicate in an ordinary theatre. But yeah, I mean, I think as a theatre director, you try and use every element of storytelling that is available to you, and I think that's so rich in Show Aufguss. You've got words, you've got language, you've got music, you've got lighting, sound, props, costume, the towel itself, the choreography. You've got your own personality. I think when Robert says, do something that means something to you, I think that's really important, because you can then really use yourself, your body, your brain, your voice, your eyes to communicate with an audience. And then of course you've got this kind of superpower, which is the manipulation of heat and scent and fragrance. And I think the best Aufguss that I've seen have really thought about those elements as part of the story and not separate to the story. How is an audience feeling when the towel hits them with this incredible blast of beautiful, fragrant heat? What does that make somebody feel? And how do you capture that feeling within your storytelling? So, look, I'm not an Aufguss master and I have not done this myself, but as an audience member, I think it's just so thrilling when a storyteller manages to weave all of those elements together and really consciously, thoughtfully use them as part of the show.
Yeah, definitely. And Robert, is there anything in particular that you would consider and really think about with regards to fragrance, aromas, and when it comes to telling your story and how you can make it richer and bring it to life more?
Oh, yes. How we can explain it? The oils, the choose it for each of the story is also about the choose of the sauna master, how they feel. Yeah, the most part of all the stories, not only inside the music but also on the fragrance, is the emotion, what you want to bring to the part of the round. For example, you can say it like that, and have to describe also with the smells. Yeah, what is really nice to use. More than one type of essential oils. Why? Because the show, of course, is something more, with you better experience what you want to bring to your guest. So if you use this only one type of oil for each round, it can sometimes really basic. Yeah, it's worth to say, but it's boring. So don't be afraid, of course, to combine it. And what I can suggest to you, I working with like that. I try to always image the situation. Yeah, it's, for example, in the first time I feel in a love, falling in a love. Then I start to feeling the essential oils, and I just said that yes, this one really remind me love. Sorry. For example, it's just an example. It can be rose. Yeah. It's just only one example. So don't be afraid to make a combine it, and of course with smart dosage. Yeah, because if you overdosage, that can really happen something bad. But my type for the show goose, which I obviously use it's maximum 8 oils. And because sometimes if you use it the 15 or 20 oils, it's for everybody, especially for the judge, really hard to recognize which kind of oil you use. Yeah. One type is, of course, you use it the synergy. Yeah, if you use it, for example, two different oils from one type, yeah, means two woods inside. It can also explain the work in these two oils. I think like that. It can be said.
Yeah. I think as well, it's always nice from my perspective as a jury member is when sauna masters use oils that have a meaning that's very relevant to that part of the story. So I think a good example, I think we spoke about this at one point, Robert, was I'll use laurel as an example, because laurel is used to divine victory and glory. So when that's used in a certain part of a story where somebody's overcome something or being victorious, it shows a knowledge from the sauna master that's not just about the dosage, but the choice in why they've chosen that oil.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that again, that's something to think about, just for extra bonus points.
Yeah, that's true. Right
And
to
what,
the note.
yeah, and tell me a little bit about the towel. Like, obviously, I think some people think that show Aufguss is all around, the crazy towel techniques, but it's not, is it? It's not just about that.
With the towel, it's you have to understand that it's a part of that. Of course, you cannot forget. You needed also some special moves, what you can surprise, and it's really nicely if you choose your own combination. Yeah. But don't forget that it's a part of the basic, of course, when it's much more important, bring the heats. I don't know how many is exactly, but from my count, it's always probably 60 or 80% of the classic waving to the guest. Yeah, because of course, for example, if you go to the championships, you work it in a really big saunas when if you have to bring to each guest minimum one or two nice heat during the one round, you will be needed much more. Yeah. So it's also about the counting and really good time management inside on your Aufguss. Yeah. So I need to know where's the time the best for the use the classic waving. Yeah, especially in start on the begin. The begin is most important is for the waving to bring the nice atmosphere. Yeah, creating inside the sauna from all the people the view. Yeah, now it's starting. Now it's the time to understand that, and I give you my attention. I am here. Yeah, then you slowly going up, not in the first round use it all your techniques. Yeah, be really exponential and give to the guest every round something for what you can give you the applause. Yeah, and don't forget that. Yeah, if you bring if you prepare your scene, always after that when you stop it, give probably 5 or 7 seconds if you made it really nice trick for the place for the clapping. Yeah, and not that time start acting, because for example if you want to start to speaking, you cannot, because the whole people clapping to you. Yeah, it's a really weird situation, but it's many times can happen. Yeah, for example, of course in the end it's the same, you end the story and take a time to the guest to understand it, to make a clap for you, and then you start the speaking.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you can use, for example, the big towel, 2 towels, 3 towels, 4 towels. It's up to you which kind of level you choose. But if you read, of course, the rules from the past, for example, in one rule was that you have to make one full round with the 2 towels. Not now, not for the year 2026. So what I can again tell you about the towels. Try to surprise. Yeah, try to surprise, because the just for example, never know what happened inside the sauna. Each sauna master start with the 0 points, be there, and if you really surprise, you can get a point, and of course the chance represent your country in a world championships.
Yeah, and I think I noticed as well that sort of good sauna masters use the towel as a prop within the story, don't they? It's the towel is used to tell the story as well, isn't it? So from the speed of the towel. So if it's a round where the music's slower and it's a bit darker, how would you work with the towel? Versus something that's quite, somebody scared in a round, to help tell that story.
Yeah, of course, it's a prop. But for me, for example, sometimes many people made it too much. Yeah, it can also happen that uses, for example, towel different colors. Yeah, less is more. We can say that, and always have it in your mind. If you bring too much props, and it means also the every single situation of the towel, it's cannot help you that much. Of course, you can use it as a towel, as a prop. For example, if you hide behind him and then going up through the guest. Yeah. So, of course, it's nice if you push it something inside with the towel, but of course, don't forget that don't drop it. The towel. Because yes, for example, I really focusing that now I have to use it the towel, but in your mind it's so confused, and that moment you can really fall down. Yeah. So for the future, if you really want it, give that. For example, you can also use it as a flag. Yeah, that really how you can say, describe of the situation. But don't forget that if you put in there that type of the logos or different colors, the heavy of the towel is really change. So it will be for you guys also really hard to waving with that. Yeah. So beware with this. Do it, of course, if it's really inside to your story, but beware.
Yeah. And I also think, well, sorry, James, what's your thoughts on with regards to sort of props, to use them to help to tell the story, as well as obviously we're using the towel as a main part of that. But how else, you know, is there any sort of thoughts from theatre that we could kind of pull on to use within the show, Aufguss?
Yeah, I think props just need to be really purposeful. I think Robert's exactly right that there is a version where there is too much that it becomes distracting. So anything that you bring into the sauna has to have a purpose, has to have a meaning, has to be part of your storytelling. And I think if you know, so there is bits of set, there's props that can just help set the scene. That's valid as long as as long as it's really clearly there to help tell the story of where you are, if you're indoors or if you're outdoors, where a locational kind of set or prop. If you're going to actually touch the prop, interact with it, then it really needs to be part of the story. The sort of great theatre philosopher and artist Brecht always said that a prop imbues meaning, and it will tell the audience something the minute that you interact with it. And I think that's, to an extent, that's true of the towel as well. I think the towel is almost a character in your story. It's almost another actor on the stage that you can interact with. And when people use the towel as part of the story and not just as an ancillary to the story, I think for me as an audience member, that feels really thrilling and exciting.
And I think, what do you think on props again, Robert? I think my sort of thoughts is it's how the props used rather than the size and the amount. Some of the great Aufgusses that I've seen sometimes have only used a tiny little prop that's been super, super effective. Like if you think about the Japanese team with that little wind charm, I mean, that was just so powerful. But then other Aufguss, like yourself, Robert, built a boat literally inside of the sauna, which was huge. But it was so effective as well. It really helped to bring that to life.
Yeah, that's true. I still have in my head this, of course, how we can say that, yes, if you use it to only just small, the props, but the story have to be 100% in. Yeah, because the props normally help us, help to the guest to understand it inside it. Yeah, so of course they really Japanese bring something new one. Yeah, and to be honest, it was only about that winchings, but it also the messages, the costumes and everything. It was the main part of the story. We understand it in the end, but of course less is more. Yeah, it's true, but please don't bring only there just the bucket and the spoon. Yeah. You needed something that really creating the atmosphere. Yeah, of course. We have like a rule. We have to also do our show of course in a smaller sauna. Yeah, so there you cannot bring this kind of big props. Yeah, so I think this really help you. And in your mind have to be also, can I do it mine own Aufguss only with the costumes, the acting, the people that understand that. Yeah, for example, that is also really important. What is exactly with the props? The props more, of course, bring to the big sound. If we give it example, this is also very good for the discuss. Can the Winchings means of the Japanese Aufguss win this year in, for example, in aquardance? I don't think so, yeah, because it's the sauna is so huge that everything will be lost there, yeah. This is also really important to understand that how we work the space is inside, yeah. If the space is sometimes really empty, they can looks really weird, yeah. They made the Aufguss in Satan, so of course will be this year, and there the people are really close, yeah. It's not that far from all the podium and everything. So think about that, of course, where you are, which kind of sauna to go, and there start to think about the props.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what's your thoughts, James, on actually holding and filling the space? That's one of I think some of the hesitations and nervousness that emerging Aufguss masters that have never performed, particularly in bigger saunas, they always say, oh, it feels like a big space to fill. Any sort of thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's scary. And I think if it's any reassurance, even the greatest actors, the most experienced, the most famous actors still get stage fright before they go on stage. And I think, first of all, it's about changing your psychology from feeling scared to feeling excited. It's exactly the same feeling, and the reason it is intimidating is because you're doing something important, you're doing something exciting, and that is a really important sort of psychological shift to make to propel you out onto that stage, rather than running in the other direction. My absolute top tip is practice. It's so underrated. You just have to do it again and again and again, because when it comes to performing or competition, if you're a sports person, anything on a big stage, it will take all of your energy and concentration to overcome the nerves, to get out there and to perform in front of an audience. So you need to have trained your brain and your body through practice to do everything else almost on autopilot. And there's just no shortcut to that. That's why we rehearse theatre productions for weeks and weeks on end. We do the same little scene, the little conversation of dialogue. We'll do it over and over and over and over again. And that doesn't squash creativity. It doesn't make it less immediate and exciting. What it does is prepare you to be able to repeat it over and over again in front of an audience in any circumstance. So, practice is my absolute top tip. My other tip, which you'll have heard me say to people many times, is to concentrate on breathing. Breathing is we forget about it because we do it naturally most of the time without thinking about it. But it's the first thing to go when we're under pressure. You start taking shallower breaths or quicker breaths, and that has a big physiological effect on your body. So practicing breathing, practicing being in control of your breathing, which again then makes you in control of your heart rate, keeps your heart rate steady, will mean that you've got a clearer brain when you're performing in front of an audience. And when you step in and you get that real rush of nervousness, you'll be able to, if you just remember, I'm going to breathe steadily, I'm going to keep my heart rate down, I know what I'm doing, I've practiced, here we go, you'll be fine.
Excellent. And Robert, I'm sure you'll second that. There's a lot of practice, isn't there?
It is. Sometimes it's really out of your mind, and many times it can happen that you want to really throw it out, and you wants to end it with everything, and then you just keep your hand in focus and a hit on the wall. Why I do that? Yeah, I had it many times, and yeah, it's a lot of practice, but the mostly important is the mental practice. Yeah, because you stand in front of the many guests inside. If we be correct, 300. So it's a quite a lot of people, and we are inside the place where it's 95 degrees. So your mental and physical conditions have to be really good on the view of if you really help the vomit before do it. Yeah, that's why it's really sometimes happen that your stomach is like, oh no, ocean that runs high to the other side. And one, I had a really big experience that before, for example, in the 23, I didn't remember nothing what I made it inside the sauna. Yeah, I really had, how you can say, the attack panic before the start. It was probably 30 seconds before, and I really said to technical guy that I don't go in. Yeah, I don't go. I just shut up. I go, and then just only wake. It's like a wake up after 50 minutes. What the hell, where I was? Yeah, so it's also really important, the lucky. But if you want to go to lucky, you have to be ready. Yeah, you have to be ready. Going in, do it your best. Yeah, don't cry it if you not succeed, and go still on. Practice and think about what you do, what you did bad, and try to repeat that. And just need a goal. Yeah, it's really important. Set it to yourself that I want to win. Yeah, and if you have this kind of goal, I think it still exists a chance that you can win.
And I think I've spoken to quite a few Aufguss masters that have competed internationally for a long time, and whenever they talk about their first time, nearly everyone says it was awful. It was so bad. This went wrong. My towels went. I hit a guest. But every single one of them have said it was great because they learned so much.
Yeah, I had the same, totally the same. When I was the first time, it was really amazing experience. Yeah, and I know that I made it bad. Yeah, but I tried to teach myself. And then the next year, I also crapped it. Of course, I throw it away. In 2019, I was really deciding that maybe this year I finally done it, and it's really happened. Yeah, just be patient, take a time, watch that, and try to teach from your friends. Make a nice consultation, of course. We are here if you need something, can ask anytime, and find a story what is connected with you guys, and just go for it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Robert. And James, this must be a story that you hear a lot as well in theatre, is it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, gosh. There's no substitute for getting out there and doing it, and you learn so much by doing. And the great thing I think about any creative endeavour is there's always more to learn. There's not a case that you do 3 Aufgusses and then you know what you're doing. You can spend your whole life, learning, getting better. And so if you're committed to doing any form of creative, creating something, then overcoming the nerves, overcoming the failures, having a mindset that is all about constantly learning, constantly wanting to get better is really, really important. But I think it's also really, really rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be enjoying this as well, aren't we? And these events are so much fun.
So much fun. It's what an amazing way to spend your life, telling stories to people. I think I've been doing that for 25 years, and it's given me an enormous amount. And I think there's something, really, really special about gathering a group of people together in a room and giving them an experience through a story that and music and your performance that makes them think and moves them emotionally and sends them away feeling different and changed and better. That's a great thing to do with your life.
Yeah, really powerful and effective, isn't it? So tell me, James, we spoke a little bit before about, for all the new and emerging sauna masters that have never competed, they've never done any acting or dance or anything like that. What would be your thoughts, and have you got any ideas on how they would just even begin?
Yeah, I mean, I think people may feel I've never done any acting, I've never done any performing, but we've all told stories, and I think that is fundamentally what this is about. It's about telling a story, and I think you can really go back to thinking about stories that you've heard in any format that you've loved. Why did you love them? What was it about the story? What was it about the storyteller? What was it about the format that you loved? So, you know, are there podcasts that you love listening to that are good stories? Are there films that you love watching? Are there books that you love reading? We're all surrounded by stories all the time. And I think the first skill of a storyteller is analysing other stories and working out why they're good. So that's a starting point, I think. And then I'd say, you know, the storyteller has several jobs. One of them is clarity. So I think a starting point when you're thinking about your performance, you think about your story, is the really simple benchmark of, is this clear? Am I telling a story, and am I performing in such a way that people will understand? And the second is connection. I think we disengage with stories very quickly if we don't feel like the storyteller cares about us as a recipient of the story. And again, you know, I've been in a lot of Aufgusses where the Aufguss master has never met my eye as an audience member, or never really sort of, I've never felt like they're performing for me in a big room full of other people. And on the flip side, I've been in performances by astonishing Aufguss masters who take so much effort to connect with every single person. Maybe not every individual looking them in the eye, but certainly every part of the space that they're in. And then I feel involved and engaged. So, analyze what makes a good story, make sure you're clear in your storytelling, and make sure you connect. And that's going to stand you in really good stead, whether you have any experience or not.
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Robert, I think one of the great things that I love about your Aufguss is that you take every single person in that sauna on the journey with you. You know, I feel like everybody connects straight away. Tell me a little bit what you do to kind of create that and to connect with the audience from those first moments.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. It's nice feedback. I don't do nothing special. Which I really know that I try to be in a sauna natural. Yeah, that is really important. Of course, which I learned from the many years is bring something to the sauna which people never forget. Yeah, that is also really important when you're creating your show Aufguss. And I tried, of course, it's one of my specialty, make the Aufguss really interesting from the people. Mean that when you're going out, take also something with you. This is really important. Yeah, and of course, I think that every single story when you create it is important from the each guest be in. Yeah, be interesting, and that means really perspective and nice start. Yeah, for me is the start, and then one of the most important part of the story. Yeah, because they people really from the beginning people really choose how everything look inside. Of course, there in the middle is very important a change and people surprised. But the beginning, yeah, the begin is really, if you catch the people in the beginning, they don't leave you in the end that much. Yeah, this is really important. Yeah? So be creative with your entrance. Yeah, that's really important. Something they never saw that. Yeah, for example, how sound of your voice, because really in the beginning you have really a lot of power still in your. Yeah, of course during the you really have to count and the balancing also save your power in the end. Use it in the right moment, but in the first beginning, have you entrance? They also see you to the people. I said that yes, I'm focused on it. So for example, I don't know why I've always coming to the Nobel, because I think it's one of the, I don't know, I guess one of the best Aufguss I ever made it for me personal. It's the begin starting with the explosives, yeah, and the people start. I had one video really safe for my personal, and I really saw that how the people, it's all really focusing on the light one side to the other side, and then it's explode. They try to find it, and somebody from the out is going totally black. Yeah, it really looks and start to think about it. What is going on? Yeah, so surprise the people. Yeah, or for example, this year in a single, I tried to sing. Yeah, I know it was awkward, and Jesus Christ, I cannot heard it again when I really sing myself. That try to opera, but I tried. Why not? The people, it was only just 2 words, and everybody just sometimes have to really hide your faces, have to start smiling. I know that. Yeah, but I have your attention.
And do you kind of, does it give you confidence when you see that the audience and the guests are coming along with your story? So, you know, if it's funny that they're laughing, if it's quite an emotional and powerful, you know, if you feel that mood change, do you really feel like you've kind of got them then?
I don't think so. It's a mood change, but the most the people are in. Yeah, what is really help see that the part of the people is eye contact. Yeah, don't hide yourself. Yeah, so stay head with up. Yeah, and really focus on the eye contact to the guest, each guest. Yeah, really running to the eyes. That is also most important for my side when Aufguss make it a classic, because with the classic you take you have a lot of eye contact as you use it, for example, your special effects and the tricks. Yeah, because if you throw the towel, you have to sometimes focus on it. Yeah, but with the classic, you really can take it the people to your story and give them to the reason, understand you, and take the attention on you. So eye contact.
Yeah.
And how you can train the eye contact is the best when you just stand in front of the mirror and watch yourself. Yeah. And of course, for me, it's really helped me if I stand in front of the mirror and I try really how we can say that in the face positions, you know, when you really wants to be angry, smile. Yeah. So I can say that I'm not a professional actor, of course, but it's a small actor training. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. You must have come across techniques like this, James.
Absolutely. I mean, every actor knows that they're an actor by first standing in front of the mirror and performing for themselves. But I think Robert's absolutely right. You know, with everything you need to practice. If you just walk out in front of a big group of people and intend to make eye contact with them without having mentally prepared for that and practiced for it, you're unlikely to succeed. So yeah, as mad as it sounds, performing for yourself in front of a mirror is a perfectly valid way of practicing.
And we did this a little bit last year with some of the competitors, was about their voice as well and the sound of their voice.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously lots of sort of professional vocal training that you can get into if you so wish. But on a really basic level, I think warming up your voice is really important, which may be a strange concept to people who have not ever performed before. But your voice is a muscle like any other muscle in your body, and it's not ready for performance at the drop of a hat. You have to prepare it. So practice is obviously one way. If you've got a story to tell, practicing saying that story out loud over and over again, even if it's just in your bedroom, is a good way of training your voice to speak. Before performance, I'd really recommend a very, very basic vocal warm-up. And all that is really is just stretching the muscles that you're going to use when you're telling your story. And you can do that by making lots of weird sounds. You can, if you Google a vocal warm-up, you'll find lots of actors doing weird sounds on YouTube. Or you can do things like tongue twisters, or like reciting lyrics or reciting poems. Just get your tongue moving, get your jaw moving, get your mouth moving, so that it's as a muscle, it's ready to perform when you step out in front of loads of people, and you've got lots of other things to think about. You're ready to project. The other thing I'd say is, especially in these big saunas, you should always go louder than you think is the right volume. Like, it's always quieter for an audience than you think it is. So turn your volume up just a few notches higher than you think is natural, and you'll have a chance of hitting everybody. If you can, get in the sauna before everyone else gets in there, and get a friend to sit on the back row and speak out loud, and get that person to feed back to you whether your volume is right or needs to be louder or needs to be quieter. But whatever it is in an empty sauna, it will need to be louder in a full sauna, because people's bodies absorb sound in the space. So yeah, go loud.
Excellent. I love that. Go loud. And same with the music as well. Robert, have you got any top tips on music? Because again, I think the sound of that, or the volume of that, is quite important as well, isn't it?
Taste it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, be honest. You have to taste it. Always have the really quality music. Of course, the best way when you're creating your own music than a ChatGPT. Just kidding. It's up to you. Everything is possible. Yeah. But be really aware with voice records. Yeah. This is also a very big problem of the sauna masters. They choose to do really not good quality voice records, and people don't understand it inside. Yeah, sometimes it's really important. If you want to use the background for the voice record, use it on a minimum. Yeah, of course. And of course, the same is for where you have a speech and they use it the background really down. Yeah, of course, you find the level, and when you do that, test that. If you need more down, go for more down. Yeah, because the people really wants to focus in on you, but really distribute you the backgrounds. Yeah, so this is of the problem.
Yeah.
And when you use it regular music for your waving, and of course with unverbal communication, acting, use the level what is really good for your ear. Yeah, because it's not good if it's really too loud, and the same is meaning if the music is really correctly each round. Yeah, so for example, not on the first round is on the top and the middle is really down.
Yeah, and I think in the UK we have a huge advantage in that English is our first language, which is a massive challenge for.
Yeah, that's true. When I made it, of course, the opera, I never saw that such a nice reaction for that. Yeah, and I know why, because they understand everything.
Yeah,
That was so perfect and lovely, splendid.
Splendid, darling. Yes.
Yeah, and I was so 100% confident. Wow, yeah, I made a nice job. And then the thing was in my head. Jesus, I have to bring this to the Italy. Not bad, not good. Yeah, it's really controversy was also inside the Italy, because so many people made the subtitles, yeah, from the screen. For my side, I don't know. I would exactly think about that, yeah, because always the Aufgussmen say that they have to be international understand it, yeah. But what they made it, for example, if we do this Aufguss with the subtitle in a Satama, where it's not the screen, yeah. So for my side, it's really important to use it in English. Of course, existed. If you give you there, then it give you there. But if you really give your voice records and your speaking in less in your Aufguss and use it more unverbal communication for the guest is better. Yeah. But don't forget that really to that people understand it. It's not bad if you use it for your all Aufguss. It can happen. It is a really nice story. What was, for example, use it with every round or every stop was using the conversation. But it was really nice example of this year was second place for the German Aufguss. It was really show, really nice show, brilliant. And they didn't say nothing during the whole Aufguss. It was really nice. I think it was type of how you can say that, Chaplin style,
Yeah.
So it was perfect. You can also find it inspiration of this type of stories.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good checkpoint, isn't it? With everything that you bring in, is does it make sense? Will people understand it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And James, you've got a little sort of how-to for preparing like stories, haven't you, to help with that understanding and building of stories?
Yeah, I mean, it's really what I was talking about earlier, which is you start with the structure and build out from there. So I think that three-part structure, which I spoke about earlier, anticipation, event, aftermath, is your outline, and then you add all your elements into that.
Yeah. So for all the emergent sauna masters, stick with that to start with, and then they can build on it, can't they? From there, that's your foundation, isn't it?
That's your foundation, yeah. And that's, obviously people can do clever things with story structure and subvert it and change it and mess around with it. But I think like understand the basics first, start there and then and go from there.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, or any little hints or tips, James, that you'd like to give the sauna masters ahead of the championships?
Just one thing that I say a lot in theatre that I think stands for Aufguss, which is this brilliant phrase, charge the second. And what it means essentially is that every second is important. When you have an audience who've come to spend time with you, maybe you've paid for a ticket, they have paid for or invested their time in every second that you hold the space. And I think for every performer, we need to respect that and make sure that every second is full of something, is full of story. So even, for example, when as an Aufguss master you need to wipe the sweat with your sweat towel, you're still performing, the audience is still watching. Make sure that that is thought through, that it's part of your performance. Make sure that when the audience are applauding, that you haven't ignored them, that you're accepting the applause, that you're actively still in the space. So yeah, I love that sense of charging the second and making sure that if your Aufguss is 14 minutes long, that every second of every minute of those 14 minutes is full of something that's worth the audience's time and attention.
Yeah, yeah, really good. That's yeah, very useful information, isn't it? So that there's no kind of dull parts in it at all. For the sauna masters, because we've got quite a few sauna masters that will be coming this year, and it's the first time that they've ever competed. What would you say to them, James, from an event perspective? What could they expect, and what will they enjoy?
Oh look, I mean it's an incredible thing performing. It's and I've loved the last two UK championships that I've been at. I think there's an incredibly supportive atmosphere both from fellow performers and from an audience. I think the thing to remember is everybody is desperate for you to be great. Like nobody is wanting you to fail. Nobody is willing you to fail. Every single person there wants you to be amazing. And if you can harness that energy and that support and that enthusiasm that everybody brings to that event, it's like a kind of tidal wave on which you can surf. So yeah, I think performing is nerve-wracking. There's no getting away from that. It is it's scary, but it's also a really incredible adrenaline fueled fun thing to do. And I've rarely ever been in a more supportive and collegiate atmosphere than at the UK Championships, when I just think everybody is so generous and excited about being there and being part of it. So yeah, I really recommend it to everyone, and those who are taking the leap for the first time. It will be a roller coaster, and you'll come out the other end and you'll feel on top of the world.
Brilliant. Oh, that's lovely. Thanks, James. And you, Robert, will be joining us again for the Aufguss Championships this year. We will be expecting to see some new sauna masters this year. Yeah. What would your overall advice be on what to expect over the course of the event?
I didn't expect nothing, because I think that every year in the UK is really special, and it's really nice to see that how each sauna master brings something really nice. you from your country bring to the sauna. So I'm really looking forward for that, and always with my wife, it's an honor when we can be there and try to help of each. Just send the message. I'm really looking forward to your surprise.
Brilliant, thank you. So that's us just about out of time. So I would say massive thank you to Robert and James for their continued support. We will be hosting some more webinars on the run up to the championships, as well as some in-person training in the UK. But we're always available to support myself, Robert and James. So please do get in touch if you have any questions or you need to be pointed in the right direction for anything. Because we're really looking forward to literally riding that wave of support, success, and generally just building that community in the UK. So we will look forward to seeing you all soon. And huge thank you to Robert and a huge thank you to James. Thanks for joining us.
And to you, Deborah, Queen of UK Aufguss. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.